Hi, and welcome to Strider. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how we can code with Strider and interface with it. It's very simple, so there's not going to be too much to look at, but I thought I would show it for everyone's benefit anyway. So let's have a quick look at the Strider script itself and see what properties we have. Basically, almost all of these settings can be changed at runtime. Some can't, like the IK method. You shouldn't really change that at runtime, but you can change most of the settings at runtime. And this is all changed through properties in the Strider biped component. The main one that we're going to use the most is speed scale. So this is to basically change the slider here. So we can do that at runtime by calling speed scale, but we can get a whole bunch of other things as well if you want to change it or query it. Okay, so there's also two utility functions that we can use to blend Strider in and out, and these are down the bottom. We can use disable smooth and enable smooth. Now, instead of disabling or enabling the Strider biped component instantly by yourself, you can call these functions and it'll be smoothly blended out and then disabled, or vice versa. So let's have a look at how we can do that by actually making a script. Now, characters are a very, very big topic, and Strider is just one part of a character animation system, so we're not going to make a full-on character script. We're just going to make something simple that talks to talks to Strider, sorry, so that you understand what it is. So let's create a new script, and we'll call this Strider tutorial control. So that script's going to create. Okay, the script's added. Let's double click on it and bring it up. We'll reload. Alright, first things first, we're going to need the namespace for Strider. So that's using animationuprising.strider. Next thing, we're going to need a reference to the Strider component. So the component is called Strider biped. I'm just going to call it mStrider. And we need to get that in the start method. Strider equals get component. You can get it any way you want, but yeah, this is the way I'm doing it now. Basic Unity scripting, nothing special here. Okay, so in our update function, let's bind some functionality to keys. Now, often you would just be setting the speed scale based on your user's input and how much more it is beyond your running or below your running speed, something like that. You can look at the gameplay demo scene to see how I've done that. Look at the code for that. But we're just going to make it really simple. When I press the W key, so if input.getKey, let's say key code W, we're going to increase the speed. So let's say mStrider.speedScale equals, and we're going to say mStrider.speedScale plus 0.1 f, so up by 10% for every time I press that button, but we're going to clamp this so that it doesn't go beyond 0 or 3. So we don't really want it to go beyond 3, that's going to be ridiculous. So that should work nicely. Inversely, when we hit the input.getKey S key, we want to do the opposite. Missed my S. Sorry about that. And we want to do the opposite here. Basically the same thing, except we'll subtract that value. Let's go back to our project, and that'll compile. Okay, now that that's compiled, let's take a look at our component and hit play. Okay, so here's a character. If I hit the W key, you can see our stride goes up. If I constantly press it, and you can see in our inspector that is actually affecting the speed scale. So that is working perfectly. So this is, most of the time what you're going to be doing with Strider, just changing the speed scale. You can change all the settings, but you don't really necessarily need to. So let's just look at one more functionality that we can play with. Let's say your character does a jump or a backflip or something, and you want to disable Strider, and you probably should when you're not doing locomotion. You need to call that enable smooth function. So let's make the input.getKey down. Let's make it H. When I hit the H key, it's going to disable Strider and Strider. So let's say if Strider is enabled, and if it's not, so if it's enabled, we want to disable it. We will tell it mstrider.disable smooth, pass in a smooth rate of about 2. That's in, I guess, percent per second. Full weight, 2 full weights in a second. So I guess half a second it'll take to go out, or less. Enable smooth. There we go. So if we hit H, we should be able to toggle the component off and on again. And Unity's going to compile. Okay. Okay, so we're playing, we can go speed up and down. Now watch this weight slider when I hit H. You can see it goes down, and if you watch the character, see it's a normal stride. Now I'm going to blend it back in. Let's crank up the speed to 3. There we go. And we'll hit H to enable it, and we'll see how it blends it smoothly back into that full stride and blends it out. Back in and out. And you can see that Strider only gets disabled when that weight hits 0. Or inversely, when it's blending in, it gets enabled immediately. So that's a nice little feature for you. Let's see, what else is there that could be useful? Okay, so if you're going to add manual warp direction mode, as I explained this setting in a previous tutorial, you're going to need to use manual warp direction. You're going to need to set it through this here. There's all these different settings we can use. Stride scale is another thing that's not actually a setting. If you remember correctly, there's a overall scale, and that is the speed scale. Don't confuse stride scale and speed scale. Stride scale is how much the stride is being scaled, whereas speed scale is how much the stride and the playback rate is being scaled. So if you want to know how much the stride is being scaled, you can use that. This is basically the value that the root motion is multiplied by, but you don't need to do that yourself. This is done in the animation job for you, but just be aware. The only other function that might be useful for you here is to set the speed scale instantly. Obviously, when we use the property to change the speed scale, it does it in a smooth way. But if you want it to be instant, you can call this function and it will be changed instantly. I'm not too sure why you would do that, because it would introduce jitter, but the option is there if you need it. So there you have it. That is the basics of coding with Strider. I'm not going to go into more complex stuff like custom IK method. That really is for more advanced users. The only thing I will show you regarding that is the interface that you need to implement for that. So this iCustom Stride Warp applicator, you're going to have to make your own component that interfaces with this. You're going to have to put it on the same game object as Strider, and you need to implement this function hip adjustment, how much to adjust the hips in the y-axis, the position of the left foot, and the position of the right foot. You need to, and it's up to you to do the IK. So there you go. That is pretty much all there is to say about coding your game with Strider, alongside Strider, sorry. Thank you all for watching. This is probably going to be the last tutorial. It's a very simple asset again that does, but simple yet effective. So thank you for watching, and if there's anything further, I might do tutorials on integrations at a later point, but that's about it. See you next time.